Okay, so this video is dealing with solving linear equations, but before we solve a linear equation, we need to know what a linear equation is. A linear equation is this example that you see before you. It's a straight line because it's a constant rate of change. And we need to talk about y equals mx plus b and the y-intercept and what all that stuff is. So let's start with y equals mx plus b. This is just a basic format for linear equations. Y is your independent variable. The x is your dependent variable. Oftentimes would be something like time. Y is typically a good example, classic example is cost, money, something like that. The m is your coefficient. Okay, so we're going to need to focus on that word, coefficient. It represents your rate. It tells you how much you're changing every 1x. And then the b is the y-intercept, which we have here. And the y-intercept is where you cross the y-axis when x is 0. So x is 0 right here, and we cross the y-axis. So I can see right here in this coordinate point, 0b, 0 is the x, and b is the y-intercept. This graph could be 5, it could be 1, whatever the scale is, we were not told. So it's always typically written in this y equals mx plus b format, where we see the coefficient attached to the independent variable, in this case the x, plus b, which is the y-intercept. C equals 5t plus 10. All right, so this is the equation we're going to start talking about. This is a very basic linear equation. C, it represents the cost for these t-shirts, and T will tell us the number of t-shirts that we are purchasing. Okay, so C is cost, T is number of t-shirts. In this y equals mx plus b format, we see that 10 is the y-intercept. And what that is telling us is that at 0 t-shirts, we're going to be charged $10. So you'll look at this as a starting point, a startup fee. It's just a one-time fee. The coefficient is 5. Okay, so that 5 tells us that we're going to be charged $5 for every 1 shirt. All right, so now that we understand what coefficient and y-intercept is, let's talk about how to solve for these guys. So a basic rule to remember when solving for x is to get your y-intercept to 0. In this case, our y-intercept is 2, so to get rid of 2, we have to subtract 2. And then you're going to need to divide away the coefficient. This rule will hold true all the time. And we'll talk about some examples, but let's start with a very basic one. So, classic rule. What you do to one side, thou shalt do to the other side. So I see that I need to get rid of my y-intercept. So I will subtract 2, so I'll subtract 2 from the other side. And the way that I'm writing this, if you're a Rittman student, you will do it this way. If you're not a Rittman student, you do it the way you need to do it. But this is a good, easy way to keep it organized. So bring down your equal sign, keep those lined up. 20 minus 2 is 18. 2 minus 2 over here is nothing. So that leaves me with 3x. Okay, in your head, you're looking at that saying, all right, I'm pretty sure I know that the x is 6, but you have to prove it, especially down the road when you're going to get not nice numbers like 3x equals 19.5. That's not recognizable. So what your brain is doing to get to that 6 is you are dividing those 3 x's into 18. So 18 divided by 3 is 6. Keep that equal sign lined up. This 3 divided by 3 is 1. I can see right here I have 1x. Quick note. This is the same thing, but it's redundant to say that's 1x because you can look at that and see, hey, there's 1x there. If I look in the original equation with 3x, I can see that's 3 x's. So that's why we put that number there, that coefficient. Lastly, simple thing so you don't get lost, circle your final answer. And then you can check it. plug it back in for x up here, see if it works. So I'm saying it's 6, so 3 times 6 is 18, plus 2 equals 20. Yes, 20 equals 20. My answer is good. Okay, here's a different scenario. This time, instead of having 2 regular numbers, now I have 2 coefficients. So we need to have a discussion about like terms. Like terms. In this scenario, I see I have an x on each side of the equal sign. Those are like terms because of the x. The 16, you call that, a lot of people call those different things, so I'm not going to try to get into that discussion, but we'll call them just regular numbers. Sometimes you'll hear me say they're naked numbers because they're not closed with an x or an x squared or anything else. They're just by themselves. So we'll look for x's and naked numbers. So I see I have x's on both sides, but I don't have naked numbers. So I can't do anything with that 16 yet. So I will get rid of some x's. I'm going to get rid of the 9x and not the 5x. It's okay if we go negative for a little bit. If I take 5x to 0, all I'm going to end up doing is repeating steps. So don't do that. Besides that, I see that I've got multiple things over here. I want to get rid of some junk on the right side of the equation to balance it out. And mathematicians are freaking out because I'm not using right terms right now, but it doesn't matter. This video is geared towards 6th, 7th, 8th graders. We're not mathematicians, we're just trying to get through school, right? Alright, so I'm going to get rid of these 9 x's. We'll go through our steps here. 9x minus 9x, there's no x's, and I'm left with negative 16. 5x minus 9x, negative 4x. Okay, all of a sudden this problem doesn't look too terrible. So, last part of my rule up here, my basic rule, divide away the coefficient. We'll do that. We'll divide by negative 4. Divide by negative 4. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 is positive 1, leaving me with 1x, positive 1x. And then negative 16 divided by negative 4 is positive 4. Let's circle my answer. Let's check it. X equals 4. Okay. So 5 times 4 is 20. 9 times 4 is 36. Minus 16, that equals 20 as well. So we win. Okay. All right, this is the final example here. We now have like terms, 2 different sets of like terms. We have x's on both sides and we have naked numbers on both sides. At this point, you start wherever you want. If you want to take away x's first, take away x's first. If you want to take away naked numbers or the y-intercepts, take away the y-intercepts. It doesn't matter. So I will choose to start with taking away the x's. Again, that was just a personal decision. There's no perfect system for choosing that. So I'm left with no x's on the left side, but I do still have a 3. Bring down the equal sign. 9x minus 6x is 3x minus 3. All right, again, I need to get rid of a bunch of the stuff on the right side. I've got too many pieces and parts over here. So to get rid of a negative 3, to get it to 0, like my rule says, bring the y-intercept to 0. To get that negative 3 to 0, I have to add 3. So I need to add 3 over here. What you do to one side, you must do to the other. So 3 plus 3 is 6. That equals 3x. Right away you recognize the answer, I'm sure. So we'll divide away that coefficient like we talked about. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 2 equals x. If you need more help, if you're a Rittman student, just ask for it. Come talk to me, post a message on Facebook. Search Rittman Math 7 or Rittman 7th grade math on Facebook. You'll find me. I'll answer any questions you have. There are more videos to follow, following all kinds of stuff, especially if you're a connected math user. So thanks for checking in. If you need more help on this video, just post it. I'll respond, maybe even make another one.